Greetings, dear fellow earthlings. The title of my video today is, Why do all fellow earthlings need to know the 7 laws of the science of understanding and reforming society? One of the serious challenges facing all the people of the earth today is how to evaluate whether the policies being pursued by their own country are scientific or not, in order to try to avoid becoming victims of unscientific and erroneous policies. The greatest lesson that human history has taught us is that scientific knowledge is power. Ignorance, prejudice, mistake, or stupidity are greater powers that cause harm to people. Unscientific social policies can only bring great misfortune to the common people or to the makers of wrong policies. The events of the 20th century that brought great misfortune to mankind, apart from the 2 world wars, probably have to count socialist thought and practice. In the heyday of socialist thought, nearly half of the countries in the world were promoting socialism, forming 2 opposite camps of capitalism and socialism in the world. Decades later, the practice of socialism not only failed, but created great tragedies for countless people. For example, Mao Zedong's Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution were both carried out in the name of socialism. In hindsight, socialist ideas and related policies are fatally flawed. How is it that the fatally flawed socialist ideology and related policies were able to win the support of countless people in the first place? Why is it that many very talented intellectuals who agree with and support the socialism do not see the fatal flaws in the socialist ideology and related policies? Engels, one of the founders of socialism, once wrote a book entitled Socialism, Utopian and Scientific. It now appears that socialism is not a science, either in the past or in the present, but only hypotheses. Indeed, any social idea, social policy, or national policy is only a set of assumptions. For social and national policies to be scientific, there are 2 fundamental indicators of assessment. First, can the hypotheses be self-consistency? Can they stand up to challenges and contests? Second, see if people can see them as hypotheses and try them out with constant trial and error. The lesson of history is that even if the social policy makers have very good intentions, if the social policy is unscientific, it may cause the greatest evil to the general public. It is important to learn from the past and to mend the past. Every earthling in the 21st century needs to know how to evaluate whether the content and process of his or her country's policies are scientific or not, so that unscientific social policies do not continue to bring great misfortune to the masses. To be able to evaluate whether one's country's policies are scientific or not, one must be very clear about 3 questions. What is science? What is a scientific social policy? How can we get and implement as scientific social policy as possible? To answer these 3 questions is, in fact, to make human activity in recognizing and reforming society a science. In order to trigger discussions and competitions, I took out the achievement of my thinking and research for decades, the 7 scientific laws of understanding and reforming society, and invited all my compatriots on Earth to review, evaluate, debate, and compete, so as to turn my personal hypothesis into that of most people on Earth that can be tested in practice. This video is a brief introduction to the article. The full article is posted on my blog, fangsingheblogspot.com. Before introducing the 7 laws, let me start with 2 points. 1. With all due respect, the value and function of the 7 laws of science for understanding and reforming society is roughly equivalent to Newton's 3 laws of motion. Since there are 3 laws of motion in nature, it is entirely possible that in human society there are also such things as the 7 laws of understanding and reforming society. 2. If the people don't know about Newton's 3 laws of motion, it won't have any bad effect on their lives. However, all earthlings should know the 7 laws of recognizing and reforming society. If we do not know them, we will not be able to judge whether or not the social policies that are currently being implemented in our own countries are scientific. One cannot avoid becoming a victim of wrong policies. I will make two major points. First, the basic hypotheses that understanding society and reforming society should and can be a science. 1. The reason why human society is still in a state of barbarism or semi-barbarism, the reason why mankind has not yet been able to find a majority consensus on the solution of man-made fatal problems by means of reasonable scientific methods, and the reason why all the major social problems currently faced by the countries of the world are stuck in an insoluble deadlock, are due to the fact that mankind has failed to create a science of understanding and reforming society. 2. Humanity has reached the point where it is possible to make the activity of recognizing and reforming society a human science, and the greatest proof of this is that the foundational theories, tools, methods, and application cases of a human science have already been proposed and are open to challenge and competition by anyone. See my dozens of videos and texts. 3. The core method for making the understanding and reform of society a science is to discover what characteristics social phenomena have that are different from those of natural phenomena, and then to create a corresponding human science based on the characteristics of social phenomena. Second, the science of recognizing and reforming society includes the following 7 laws. 1. The law of cognitive objects. Study what are the fundamental differences between social and natural phenomena. Natural phenomena are all objective phenomena that can be directly observed or are observable through instruments such as the earth, electric currents, air, and cell phones. Social phenomena, including social problems, are neither objective nor subjective, but rather subjective-objective phenomena that lie in between and cannot be directly observed as a whole. Society, state, democracy, peace, war, poverty, happiness, human nature, power, rights, institutions, freedom, equality, fraternity, truth, science, environmental destruction, nuclear threat, terrorist violence, state policy, etc. They are all subjective objective phenomena. In the next video, I will focus on the 8 characteristics of subjective objective phenomena. 2. The law of science. Answer for what is science. Discussing the commonalities and differences between the scientific models of the natural sciences and those of the human sciences. The relationship between the natural sciences and the human sciences was similar to the relationship between Newton's mechanics of absolute space-time and Einstein's theory of relativity, or the relationship between mathematics in general and probability theory. Science is a set of methods and knowledge that can be fully reasoned, competed, and practically tested and agreed upon by the majority of people. 3. The law of space. Individuals of the same kind of phenomenon have their own particularities as well as certain commonalities. However, many people still adopt an either-or way of thinking to understand society, such as the wholesale copying theory, recognizing only the commonalities and denying the differences, and the wholesale rejection theory, emphasizing only the particulars and denying the commonalities of national democratic reform. Another example is the statement by many people that it is impossible to have a consensus definition of happiness for all people, recognizing only differences and denying commonalities. 4. The law of time. The performances of a person at different times are not the same. Evaluation is not the same. Knowing this, we can avoid adopting an either-or black or white way of thinking in evaluating a person. However, there are still many people who use a black or white way of evaluating Mao Zedong. 5. The law of aspect hierarchy. The study of society can be carried out from different aspects and at different levels, but everyone is prone to the mistake of taking a part for the whole. For example, the first sentence of the classic document of the socialist movement, the Communist Manifesto, the history of all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggles, is a viewpoint that is decidedly one-sided. Countless people have been convinced of it. Class struggle is indeed a very important phenomenon in human society, but human society has not only struggle, but also cooperation. If a society has only struggle and no cooperation, the result can only be one or the other. Either all die together, or one remains at the end. The fact that socialism, which once created a huge social fervor around the globe, was ultimately unsuccessful, has to be attributed to the fact that its theoretical foundations are biased. Another example, social problems have surface, deep and fundamental problems. To solve surface problems, it is often necessary to solve deep and fundamental problems at the same time. The fact that the vast majority of people are concerned only with surface problems and ignore the problems behind them is an important reason why all major human problems are stuck in a deadlock. 6. The law of value. Scientific social research cannot exclude value because for a human being to live is a value. However, many people believe that recognizing society and reforming it cannot be a science because different people have different values. The mainstream of the social disciplines still uses Weber's value-free as one of the fundamental principles of social research. Excluding the search for solutions to social problems from the purpose of social research is the biggest mistake social humanists around the world have been making for centuries. There are individual values, minority values, majority values, and values for all. The value of the majority and the value of all are fully amenable to scientific study, such as opinion polls, reasonable competition, constant trial and error, and so on. 7. The law of doing our best. The science of understanding society and reforming society is a competitive and best effort science, and it is a science that raises the actual performance from 0.3 to 0.6 and can continuously increase the percentage in the future. With a scientific model, the performance can be continuously improved through continuous improvement or iterative innovation. The above contents needs to be conveyed in a storytelling way to make them into a light-hearted and forms of entertainment, so that all the common people will be interested in learning about it and mastering it. It is hoped that as many of our fellow earthlings as possible will do this. Those wishing to join us in advancing the creation of a global contractual rule of law authority are invited to email fangsinghegmail.com. The next video is titled, Why Do These 8 Traits Make People Smart and Wise? Okay, that's it for this video. Thank you all.